Up, right?
Yes, I do. It's on December 12th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And it's basically talking about how the Minneapolis Police Department got additional funds and how they're sending money to the wrong place when COVID-19 is getting very out of control in Minnesota right now. And so many people are losing their houses and many people are dying. So instead of giving, so I'm questioning why they're giving the police department money when we could be utilizing it in better ways and helping our community instead of funding the police department that killed George Floyd and that continue to kill people on our streets.
No doubt. Hold on 1 second. Welcome to another edition of the Trahern Crow Show on WFNU Frogtown Tuned In Radio. I'm really excited tonight about tonight's show. We got a very special guest. We got Kiana Williams. She's in the building. Say what's up, Kiana.
Hello, everybody.
So, before you get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 21 years old. I am a nursing student. I go to school in Ball State, but right now I'm back home on break. So I'm happy that I get to actually start participating back in the streets because I've been gone for 4 months. So I'm happy to be back. Back at school, I'm part of a all Black committee for nursing students. So we're trying to get some more diversity within the nursing community at our school.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's great. What are you taking? You said you're a nursing student down there?
Yep.
Okay, so you have an event coming up here that you're planning shortly. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So the event that my friends and I are planning is basically talking about how the Minneapolis Police Department is getting additional funds, and we are questioning that because COVID-19 is hitting our community, the Black community, really hard right now. People are losing their houses, people are dying, and instead of using that $500,000 to take care of those people, they're giving it to the police officers who don't need it because they're not even utilizing the money the right way. They're not planning on adding any more training to their situation. They're not um, thinking about our community, thinking about their own community.
So when people talk about defunding the police, what does that mean to you?
To me, I think defunding the police is taking away any additional funds, stop giving them as much money as they're getting because they're not utilizing that money in the right way. What I mean is, like, they have not done any training specifically in ways that are benefiting the community that they're working in. I'm going to talk about mental health for a second. They have no mental health training. So why are they getting additional funds if they're not using that to spend money on training, spend money on ways to actually, I guess, work with the community?
So, um, last night there was someone who was shot, and here in St. Paul, they didn't have any clothes on or something. So, I think that kind of has to deal with mental health. How would you see it if somebody's having a mental health crisis? How do you think that should play out?
So I took mental health nursing last semester, and so we learned how to de-escalate situations. So definitely do not show a gun to someone that's having a mental health crisis because that's only going to agitate them and make them more anxious and start being combative. So you have to find ways to go around that. And the police officers, I read the article, they didn't really say much, but hearing that he didn't have clothes on just sounds like he was having some sort of crisis. And instead of calming him down or getting family members to calm him down and like getting people that know how to de-escalate a situation, they use violence, which causes them to actually get very anxious. And once your brain is like overpowered and overworked, it starts, they don't know what they're doing. So the cops are seeing them as violent. So they want to use, I guess, shooting and other violent tactics to control them. That's only making the situation worse. So I feel like if you are seeing something out of the ordinary, I would always assume that that person is having some sort of crisis, whether they're took too many drugs or withdrawn from drugs or just having some sort of episode within like a mental health episode. You have to find ways to de-escalate it. And the cops definitely didn't do that last night.
Definitely. So I know here in St. Paul, and I don't know if Minneapolis is working on it yet, but we started a campaign called Care Over Confrontation. And that would be something where instead of when you call 911, if it's a mental health call, it goes to like mental health professionals instead of the police. What do you think about that?
I like that a lot because, like I said, I've dealt with a lot of patients who have shown mental health crises, and I've watched like nurses, like actual nurses, come in instead of nursing students, and they call it the mental health crisis team on the units, and they come in and they de-escalate the situation, and it works way better than yelling at them, way better than tackling them to the ground or anything that can just cause the situation to further escalate.
Okay, and then go ahead.
Oh, I said I'm really happy that that's a campaign right now.
Yup, and then we want to get you plugged in with that too. What did you when you first found out about Breonna Taylor as a young Black woman? How did that make you feel?
That made me feel okay. So she was sleeping in her own room or in her own house. So that just scared me even more that we are not safe on the streets, and now we're not safe in our own house, even when we're sleeping. I'm actually fearful of the police now that I see that they can go. There's like no surprise anymore. Like they've killed people in their own houses. They kill people sleeping. They kill people with a mental health crisis. It makes me even more fearful of the police because I don't know if one of my actions seem out of the ordinary to them that I can get shot or I can get harmed. So seeing her being shot in her room, sleeping, made me feel like no Black person is safe.
Wow. And see, the Black youth shouldn't feel scared of the police, but because of things like Breonna Taylor, because of what we seen happen here last night in St. Paul, Black people are afraid of the police in America. You have an event coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so on December 12th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., myself and a couple of friends are setting up an event to basically spread awareness to the fact that Minneapolis Police Department is getting additional funds, and we want to protest against that, saying that they don't deserve the funds and that we need to fund the encampments. We need to find these people houses. We need to find them shelter because winter is coming up. Like we've been pretty lucky in Minnesota right now with 40-degree weather, but any day now it can go below zero, and they are in tents. That's not a safe place to be living. I'm not really sure if people have kids out there. I really hope not, but I know there's a lot of older adults, and the older adult population is very vulnerable, actually almost as equally vulnerable as the young kids. They're more prone to death related to freezing temperatures. If they don't have the proper nutrition, they're easier to die. So I don't understand why we're using $500,000 for nothing when we can use that to find shelter for these people, find houses, pay their rent if they're losing their houses because they can't work because of COVID. There's just so many different things that I think that $500,000 could go to rather than the police right now.
And I'm glad you brought up COVID too, because that's really crucial. And I think the city of Minneapolis and the city of St. Paul should put more emergency funding into the COVID-19 response. One last question, and then I'll let you go because I know you're busy.
Okay.
Tell us a little more about the rally and when it's going to be, where it's going to be at, what time, who's doing it, if there's anything you need help with, things like that.
Yeah, so it's going to be myself, my friend Ashley Meyer, and then my other friend Maya Bernardo. It's going to be at George Floyd Square because it's kind of an accessible place. A lot of people know where it's at, so I feel like that will make it easier for people to come show up. We're trying to set up some sort of donation so people can bring like blankets, space heaters that are battery powered, some food and stuff. And then after the rally's over, we're going to bring it over to the encampments. Basically, all three of us are going to have some sort of thing to say, and then we're gonna ask for other people to come talk if they would like. And then the only thing that I think that we need help with is speakers and microphone, a speaker and microphone.
We got you.
Yeah, so that's basically all that. Oh, and it's from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. December 12th. It's on a Saturday, so that also makes it easier for people to come out. And then I also made it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I made it so there's another rally at 2 p.m. So I made sure mine ended so then we can all go to the next one together as well.
That's very thoughtful of you, and that's what's up. We got to work together, and there got to be teamwork with this. So December 12th. So I think we might have to have you come back next week for another to talk about it again.
Yeah.
And I know it'll start getting a little more, but it's almost about to happen, so we can remind people and let people know about the great work you're doing and about this great event that you're about to have. One last thing. George Floyd, when you seen that, what were your thoughts?
Initially, when I seen it, I remember I woke up for work and I was looking on Instagram and I seen the video and I just was like shocked at first. And then I was like, I really have to go to work after seeing this. So on my way to work, I start crying because I'm sad. And then after work, I drove straight to the 30th and George for the first rally that happened. And I was just angry the whole time that I was there because I'm 21 and I didn't think that I would have to witness this or see this in person in my own state. Like you see it on TV and you hear about it, but you never actually see it in person and feel like the pain that everyone was feeling. So it was definitely a very hard summer. Not even just that day. It was the whole summer was a hard summer.
Yes, it was with that. Breonna Taylor, Daniel Prude. It just kept happening to us. So,
yeah.
And like you're saying, along with COVID. So we're really excited about that. We're going to help you get the word out, do anything we can to help organize that very important event. We'll have you back, I think, maybe next week, because next week might be the last chance before the rally happens on Saturday, because we're on Sundays. So we'll try to help you get the word out. Thank you for coming out. Keep being an inspiration for all the youth, Black women across the country. We're gonna be here to support you, definitely.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. No doubt. We're gonna jump into some music, and we'll be back with the Trahern Crow Show on 94.1 FM, Frogtown Community Radio. And we were just speaking with Kiana Williams. She's out of St. Paul, Minnesota, or out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. But right now she's going to school in Ball State. And we're happy that she's going to be organizing a rally demanding funding for more mental health work instead of more police. And I think people don't understand when we talk about defunding the police, we're not talking about actually just getting rid of the police. That's more abolishing the police, but defunding the police is defunding the police is more about defunding the police is just about taking money from the police budget and giving it to things like rec centers, mental health, housing. Because like you're saying, Paul, the police have a very, very, very big part of the budget. More than like 30% of the budget goes to the police. So we feel some of that budget should go to other things. So we're going to jump into some quick music right here. And then we'll be back to talk about full and complete reparations for the American descendants of slavery. So yeah, we're having a couple technical difficulties. It's looking like. So I'm gonna just keep talking, keep going. Last night here in St. Paul, uh, the St. Paul police shot a man who had no clothes on, and he was hiding in a dumpster. And then he was subsequently shot. So we're gonna take a quick quality break, and we'll be back to discuss it right after this. No doubt. So I was watching Fareed Zakaria, and I'm gonna pull up a clip of it in a second. Just give me 1 sec. So I've been watching CNN lately, right? And it's like they're trying to get black people prepared to say that the Democrats ain't gonna give us nothing, right? So I've been checking it out, man, and I'm like, they keep kind of trying to tell us that they keep trying to tell black people, or they're like signaling that Joe Biden doesn't have a mandate when we know that he does, right? We know that if it wasn't for black people, that Joe Biden wouldn't have been elected. But when you go and listen to like Fareed Zakaria, I was checking that out earlier today. It's like they're trying to tell you you're not about to get nothing. And that's very troubling. Very troubling. They don't, because they don't treat other groups like how they're treating us right now. They're not telling the Latinos, you're not going to get nothing. They're not telling the Asians, you're not going to get nothing. Or we just want what everybody else wants. You know, that was the type of lingo Fareed and some of his guests were using today. So we're going to talk about that a little later on in the story, a little later on. But yeah, it was really interesting, man. I was like, wow, why do we have to get nothing, but everybody else can get something? You know what I mean? No doubt, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You're listening to the Trahern Cruise Show on 94.1 FM, Frogtown Community Radio. So things are moving a little different down here right now today in the studio. So hopefully we can get through it. But yeah, I was looking at Fareed Zakaria earlier today, right? And if you go to his Twitter page, it'll pop up. There's a little clip of him talking, and then they're already trying to act like they don't know what the mandate is. Well, we know what the mandate is. The mandate is reparations. The mandate is police accountability. The mandate that got Joe Biden into office was the black vote. We know this. Philadelphia is 20 electoral votes right there. Philadelphia, and that's how Biden won Pennsylvania. And these people are in poverty in the COVID, and they're trying to tell us that they don't have a mandate to come forward with full and complete reparations for the American descendants of slavery. That they don't have a mandate to address police accountability when the Democrat Party rode into office off the energy of the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor protests. That's why people were out there celebrating in Black Lives Matter Square. I'm not saying that was the smart thing to do because, the Democrats didn't really promise us anything. So he had on the show tonight, Fareed had three historians on the panel, and they were all trying to disregard the people that got trying to disregard the people who got Joe Biden elected. Right? So just right there, the Georgia runoffs. Let's just discuss that right there. Biden doesn't win Georgia without the black vote. So Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democrats need to address the needs and the wants and the demands of the black community. And right now, that is about economic justice. 75% of black voters want direct cash payments for reparations. That's more than a majority, right? So that's the mandate. And we can't keep going out voting for the Democrat Party if they're not going to keep their end of the bargain, right? So, they're like, oh, these historians, and they come out and they're talking, you didn't hear this type of thing before the election. But now, they'll put Van Jones on. They will put the black people on and, oh, this sounds good. This sounds good. But now that they feel like they're in, now they're about to throw the black community under the bus. And Joe Biden hasn't been sworn in yet. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But how they're doing this is very concerning. That was garbage. Right here. Amen. So let's talk about that. So we know just from some of the books, and that's why we're having something called the St. Paul Recovery Act Book Club. We'll be meeting, I believe, December 8th. You can go to the Eastside Freedom Library's website or Facebook page to find out more about that, or you can go to www.stpaulrecoveryact.com. And we've discussed the New Deal. And we discussed how the New Deal didn't help black people or kept black people in poverty. Black people didn't benefit from the New Deal. Now they're talking about a 2020 New Deal that is most likely going to leave black people out. So again, the mandate that Joe Biden came in on is about reparations and police brutality. The media, Fareed Zakaria, and other academics are trying to change that and make it about something else. So she's saying, oh, well, it's about COVID, and it's about this, and it's about that. Or the exit polls. So when they start asking people, what did you vote for? Why did you vote? And when people answered the things that they said that they voted for, I'm going to keep saying this. The things that they voted for was the economy was number one. Number two was racial inequality. Number three was maybe healthcare. Number four was public safety. And then maybe number five was healthcare. But the top two were economic justice and reparations. So I don't understand why the media is trying to change the narrative, but they don't do. And see, for black voters, because they know that a lot of us or a lot of you are going to vote Democrat, they take you for granted, or they take the black vote for granted, and they think that they could just say anything, or that they don't have to address your needs or the things that you need. So they start talking about the New Deal. Let's finish. So she just lied. She said Joe Biden doesn't have a mandate. That's false. He does have a mandate. The mandate surrounded around Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. At one point, 75% of Americans agreed with BLM. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the Democrat Party came in off the energy of the BLM movement. Came in off that energy. Now they're trying to say, oh, we got to build a mandate. There's already a mandate. And that mandate is about economic justice and about racial inequality. And that's what black people. So I think there's an election coming up in Georgia. And I'm glad that there's a runoff, because it gives the black community another chance to say, hey, if you're not going to fight for reparations, if you're not going to address police brutality, we won't show up in Georgia. Right? And I think that's the lesson. I think that's the message that has to be sent to the Democrat Party right now, because the things they have been saying lately are showing us that they're not caring about what we need. They're not caring about how we're going to survive during COVID. And for black people to survive during COVID, we're going to need full and complete reparations. And that's dealing with healthcare, right? So this lady right here, Doris Kearns Goodwin, is trying to change the narrative for the worse when it comes to black lives, and is actually trying. They're trying to. It's like a theft. Like you vote, like the people who voted for you are being robbed of what they voted for, because they believed that Joe Biden was going to help them. That's why black people went to the polls and voted for him, because they thought that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was going to do something about police brutality, was going to do something about racial injustice. Now they're talking about the New Deal. And history shows us that the New Deal hurt Black America. So for my listening audience on WFNU, we're going to jump into a track, and we'll be back to discuss the latest in reparations, and we'll dive a little bit more into the police-related shooting that happened last night up on Rice Street. You're listening to the Trahern Show on 94.1 FM, Frogtown Tuned In Radio. No doubt, y'all. So, last night, about 9 o'clock over here in St. Paul, a man was shot 3 or 4 times by the St. Paul Police Department. Eyewitness accounts say that he ran and jumped in a dumpster. And then when he was in the dumpster, he was shot 3 times. If you look at the first reports, the Trahern Tribune gives a detailed report of what happened. Then by the time it gets to CNN, it's a totally different story from what we heard last night. For me, I like to go with the story that when people were there, you got to hear what happened. It's like, okay. And what was disappointing to me was there were some people there like, hey, man, sometimes we think nobody deserves to be killed by the police, right? If you do something wrong, the police should come and arrest you. If their life isn't in imminent danger, they do not have the right to shoot and kill you. But the St. Paul Police Department is trained to shoot, to kill, right? So this man was butt naked outside with a butcher knife or with a knife, right? So he should have been restrained. He could have been tased. They got a thing that you can shoot that shoots out a net. And then the net will just get you. And then you'll just go down like glue. So there's things that the police department, the St. Paul, I remember the homeboy. Hey, man, shout out to you, man, if you're still around, man. But he went up into a pawn shop, man, a couple years, man, when we were children, man. And when he came out, he had some stuff. The police was like, give up or something. He didn't give up, so they shot him. But they shot him with what? They shot him with rubber bullets. And then he went down, and they came in, and they arrested him. You know what I'm saying? This was like 15 years ago. So if they could shoot rubber bullets at people 15 years ago, and you can shoot rubber bullets at protesters, then you can shoot a rubber bullet at somebody who has a knife, who's butt naked, right? We don't have to shoot people. I'm glad that he lived through that. But man, there has to be another answer for Black lives and police than us just always getting shot when we're basically armed or going through a mental health crisis. That reminds me of Phil Quinn, man. Shout out to Darlene Tariq. Phil Quinn was having a mental health crisis, had like a butter knife or something, and he was killed, murdered by the St. Paul Police Department, man. So there gotta be a better way than just killing people. In Britain or London, I don't even know if the police even carry guns like that, So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You're listening to the Trahern Crew Show on 94.1 FM, Frogtown Community Radio. So we're trying to get it going, man. I apologize. We're having a little technical difficulties. Computer's running a little bit different down here today. So next week we're gonna have to make sure we got that all straight. But man, we're still vibing, we're still chopping it up. And I feel like we're having a good conversation. Last night here in St. Paul, a man was shot in the Rice Street area. Some people were on the scene. We went up there to see what happened, and what people were saying was, basically he had a knife. He might have been into it with his girl. I don't know if there was a car accident, and then he was hiding in the dumpster, and then he ended up getting shot. But he was naked. He didn't have clothes on and things like that. So we're not trying to jump to conclusions. Not trying to jump to the conclusions. And the chief asked, though, I'm going to reach out to chief and say, hey, man, we're not trying to jump to any conclusions, but we need some answers. And we need some change of policies on how you deal with Black lives. And we need to stop getting shot when we're really unarmed. So we're hoping that we can get some answers from the St. Paul Police Department real quick here, or from the city leaders or whoever is supposed to be answering what happened last night. Because I don't think we've heard much today, right? But this happened last night. And we didn't want to run out and just protest right away because we want to get a full story of what happened. And this man is still alive. So him and his family will be able to speak to the community and tell us what actually occurred. All right? So we're waiting on that. We're waiting to see what the answers are. We won't be waiting too long, though, because we're going to have to take some action just to get some answers. And we won't be saying that, hey, the police were right or wrong. We'll just be out here demanding some answers. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right? So, man, that happened here in St. Paul last night. Also, yesterday it was interesting. I'm at the my nephew hit me up like, yo, the Proud Boys is walking through the hood. And I'm like, what? He said, yeah, man, they marched up Selby. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, man, they marched up Selby. Then they went up to the governor's mansion. And then he said he rolled up on them to see what was popping. They was like, and then they probably presumed he was prepared and was like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, you should get out the car, man. We're feeding the community today. You should get out and get a plate. He's like, oh, hold up, man. No, I'm just checking to see what y'all's good. They're like, oh, no, we ain't on no BS. Come in and get a plate. So, man, St. Paul, and a lot of y'all been doing it, man. Shout out to my brother TS. Not my brother, but just a brother from the hood that I know that I like what he's doing. He's giving back. He's setting up Black business. I know this summer he had Black business Saturdays, where Black businesses across St. Paul will come together and we're able to sell goods. He also been doing healing circles. So shout out to that brother. He's grassroots. Shout out to Meech and other brothers. I know there was brothers on Selby who were selling plates or doing things and giving back. But it's in these next couple months, us as Black men and women and children, everybody, we're going to need all hands on deck. We're going to have to step up, and we're going to have to feed each other. We're going to have to take care of each other because it's going to get tight in these next couple months. You dig? So that's going to be very, 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 very important in these next couple months that we step up, because they're saying, like in Minnesota, there's been every day they're breaking records with COVID cases and COVID deaths. And so that's what's happening with that. So like when the Proud Boys is coming through St. Paul and they're telling Black people, we're here to help feed y'all, and they're armed. And they got AR-10s and stuff, but they lean towards Trump and they lean towards white supremacy. That's it. I wouldn't call it non-confrontational, but to be like, we're here to give you some food. That just makes us, I believe, we have to step up more on making sure that we're feeding the community. So BLM Minnesota has partnered with River of Life Church. We're doing food drives. We'll have another one coming up in December. We're also partnering with some neighborhood churches about Toys for Tots. So we'll be doing that. We'll be getting information out about that. Also, we got the big MLK rally coming up January 18th in honor of George Floyd. It's really a big celebration for Marcus Golden, who was killed by the St. Paul Police Department around the same time. I think it might have been January 15th, but it was very near the MLK Day celebration. So this is kind of commemorating that march and celebrating Marcus's life, but at the same time demanding justice for Marcus Golden, George Floyd, and Hardell Sherrill, who was found dead in Beltrami County Jail. Be watching Care 11 News this week. There's going to be a big story about Dr. Leonard, aka Dr. Death. Dr. Leonard is the owner of Men Correctional Facilities. Men Correctional Facilities has contracts to do health care for inmates in over 30 jails in the state of Minnesota. Through the work that my sister, BLM Minnesota, have been doing, and some other people have been helping her, but the real work was happening when nobody was listening to her, when people wouldn't answer the phone. She still kept going when there wasn't really people showing up to help. She kept pushing through, and we kept pushing. We would do rallies. Sometimes it would only be like 5 of us. Sometimes it'd only be like 10 of us, but we would still get out there and do what we had to do to bring awareness to what happened to her son, Hardell. So I just really want to salute my sister for having the strength and the courage to push through that despite all the odds. And now it has helped other people's family, like Amber May's family. Tony May was found dead in there, and his family's taking action now because they seen somebody who had the courage to stand up, and that gave them courage to stand up. Stephanie Bunker was found hanging in a cell in Beltrami County Jail, and the work Delshia did gave that family courage to stand up. And then Delshia kept going, BLM kept going, and then it led to 56 new investigations into jails in Minnesota. So me personally, I consider Delshia like, man, I've never seen nothing like that happen. And I can't think of any other situation where there were 56 new investigations into inmates' deaths, or even into a police department where 56, except like rape cases and stuff like that. There's been like what happened in Louisville recently. Like, man, I think it was over 100,000 cases of like sexual misconduct that have been swept under the rug. So, yeah, big shout out to Delshia. So that's what that MLK celebration is about. Big shout out to Monique Dottie, Colors. She's been a strong advocate for pretty much anybody, no matter what race, color, or creed they are. You know, me, I really, when it comes to police brutality, I do help everybody, but my focus is really, you know, on Black lives and Black economic upliftment. And then once we get that done, I'm not saying our job is done, but then I can do more things. But right now, because of what's happened in the movement, a lot of times we would do things or intersect or work with other groups, and then Black people's issues would get pushed to the side and everybody else's issues would get pushed to the front. And they would call that intersectionality or coalition building, when that's really just keeping the status quo intact. And we can't keep the status quo intact. And the status quo is Black people being the permanent underclass, the permanent unemployed, the permanent homeless, right? The permanent people who have health disparities. We can't have that no more. So that's why I take the stances that I take. Well, we're going to jump into a little bit of music, and then we'll be back to close the show out right here on the Trahern Cruise Show, 94.1 FM, Frogtown, tuned in, radio. No doubt, ladies and gentlemen. So I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in too. And I just want to address, like, when you become, like, there's black people, man, and sometimes some of us are going to get elected or become, like, where you're over an organization that is racist or that has racism happening in it. So for me, I know Obama took an approach where I'll do what, and a lot of times sometimes you get elected, they say the presidency is kind of like a management job. But us as the American descendants of slavery, we cannot manage white supremacy. We can't manage institutional racism. You just can't do it. And then, because if you manage institutional racism or if you manage white supremacy, you're working against yourself. You're working against your family. You're working against your community. So in your first term, you have to address white supremacy and institutional racism, even if you don't get a second term, right? And you got to be happy and be able to look back and say, I accomplished this, I accomplished that, I accomplished this, I accomplished that. And as long as you're happy that when you were elected, that you addressed white supremacy and you wasn't scared and you wasn't a punk, then you could sleep at night. But if you was a coward or if people were being racist while you were in charge and you're a black person and you don't address it, then you failed yourself, you failed your children, you failed your community, and you're not a leader. So any black elected official, I don't care if you're elected to school board, I don't care if you're elected to president or the UN, if you're not addressing white supremacy and your organization, you're a punk. You dig? And you need to resign. So that's just me. Other black people feel like, I'll wait till my second term and then you might not get a second term, right? So soon as you get elected, if you're black and you're and you're presiding over a white institution, it's our duty to fight for our freedom and it's our duty to win. And you know what I'm talking about. So don't be scared. You got to address white supremacy in your organization. You got to address racism in your organization. And you got to do it today. You got to do it tonight. And you can't be a punk about it, right? Whether you're a black man, whether you're a black woman, whether you're trans, whether you're LGBT, if somebody's treating your people like Negroes or less than in an organization that you preside over, you are obligated to address that. So I just wanted to say that real quick, man. And I know that most of you want to, and you mean well, but you just need some encouragement. So if you just watch this and you ever need some encouragement, go back, watch this, and then go to work or go to whatever body you preside over and start addressing the racist systems that you're presiding over. So I'm really excited about that. Again, the reason why, and I'm gonna address this too before we're getting out. The reason why Black Lives Matter Minnesota, some people with ADOS, Minister Toya Woodland from ICIL Ministries, and some others are going out to DC is because of what we just watched. Because we just watched Fareed Zakaria get on TV with some historians and lie and say that there's not a mandate for Joe Biden. Well, we know Detroit black people, even before no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. And I was just talking to the people on Facebook, on my page, if you go to my page, this conversation's happening there too. And or if you go, yeah, but it's happening online too. And I was just explaining to the people why we got to have a rally at the inaugural in DC January 20th because of what we just watched with Fareed Zakaria. They just tried to tell us that there's not a mandate. Joe Biden wouldn't have even won the nomination if he didn't get the help from Joe Clyburn in South Carolina, black South Carolina, where there's millions and millions and millions of black people, where there's millions of black people. And those black people got Joe Biden to win. Subsequently, in the general election in Detroit, Michigan, black people delivered the state of Michigan to Joe Biden. Black people delivered Pennsylvania to Joe Biden. Black people delivered Georgia to Joe Biden. So Joe Biden and the Democrat Party have to repay the black community back for that. So in January 20th, BLM Minnesota, with other organizations, will be headed to Washington, D.C. to demand full and complete reparations and police accountability from the new administration. And we hope you join us. Also, January 18th, Spruce Tree, RSVP at the BLM Minnesota page, MLK rally, that's popping. More food drives is going to be popping. And just keep it locked right here to WFNU, Frogtown Community Radio. Make sure you wear a mask. Make sure you wear a glove. Social distance, all that good stuff. I wanted to talk to y'all about reversing DNA and the vaccine, because that's real important, but we might do that on our Facebook Live page. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to another edition of the Trahern Crew Show on Frogtown Tuned In Radio. Keep it locked right here. All right. Have a wonderful week. Peace.